Welcome to the University of South Carolina College of Pharmacy Gamecock Pharmacy Podcast. I'm your host, Margaret Gregory, and today we're having a conversation with Lauren Agnew, class of 2027, our current Student Government Association president, and also Kappa Epsilon fraternity treasurer. Lauren, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Miss Gregory. It's a great morning to be here.
Let's start off with just a little bit about your background. Tell our listeners where you're from and how you became interested in pursuing an education in pharmacy.
All right. So I am from a small town called Inman, South Carolina. It's in Spartanburg County. So the upstate. Graduated from Boiling Springs High School in 2021. I grew up with my dad being a dentist, so I've always had some kind of exposure to the medical field. But I like to tell people that I have 3 Bs. I don't do blood, booger, or barf. So pharmacy was the best way for me to get involved in the medical field without really having to deal with those. And so I went to USC for undergrad. I was part of the GPA program here and just kind of went through that pathway.
I love the 3 Bs. I think a lot of parents feel that way if they wouldn't have to deal with those things.
Right. Well, and I often get asked if I plan on having kids one day because you get a lot of those, and I think I could handle it when it's my own kid.
It is a little different when it's your own. That's true. You're a P3. So what do you think at this point that you've decided you might have a passion for? Is there a certain path that you think you might want to follow?
So I currently do work in a community setting back home, and then I also work at Prisma Health Richland in the sterile compounding. So I've just been kind of using those experiences to guide what I want to do, as well as my classwork. So right now I'm leaning more towards a clinical pathway, but what I'm really leaning towards is academia. So once I find my clinical pathway, I'll try and teach it somewhere. I think that might be where my calling is.
Dr. Bookstaver would be very glad to hear that.
I hope so.
You've also been very active in your leadership roles here within the college with student organizations. What inspired you to take on these roles that can be very demanding on your time, given what you already have to give to your studies?
So as you mentioned, I'm the treasurer of Kappa Epsilon. So KE is very close to my heart. It was one of the first organizations I joined in pharmacy school. At the back to school barbecue, my P1 year, every organization had a table set up, and I just felt a deep connection with the girls that were at the table. And all of them were very rooted in their leadership, very committed to what they were doing and making an impact on the college. So I wanted to give back to KE, and being treasurer was something that was outside of my comfort zone. I mean, obviously I budget for myself and something like that, but I'd never done that for such a large organization on that scale. So I just kind of wanted to put myself out there and do something new, get some experience that way. The reason I'm SGA president is actually kind of a funny story. So the treasurer, Matthew Rollings, was one of my really good friends P1 year, and we were hosting a bake sale for our class as a fundraiser. He was the P1 president at the time. And towards the end of it, you know, we were just talking about SGA elections. That time of year was coming around. And he kind of tapped me on the shoulder and he was like, "Do you want to be SGA president?" And he was like, I don't think that's where I'm going. I think I want to do Kappa Psi as president. So I think someone else is going to need to step in. And I was kind of like, that's not going to be me. Like, I don't see myself being that kind of person. I didn't have any leadership P1 year in the College of Pharmacy. And he finally convinced me to do it, and I wound up running unopposed. So I'm here today, kind of not by a fluke, but some interesting part of like fate, I guess. But I couldn't be more grateful for me being here today.
What are some of the things that you have in mind for your term as SGA president, and for our listeners too who might not understand what your role actually is?
So a large part of my role is just, I call myself the president of the presidents. I talk with all of the organization presidents, class presidents, the senators that go to big USC and lead on that level. So I'm just kind of the spearhead for them to the dean's office and to the student body, just as a big like communication source. So one of my big goals is to be very transparent in what SGA is moving and doing. I want a big emphasis on like service. Our community outreach chair, Cassie Ferguson, has done a great job getting some things lined up for SGA to participate in. That's just one of my big things is I want the student body to know what I do and how I'm helping them. I'm actually meeting with Dean Cutler alongside Caroline Kinder twice in the coming semester to discuss needs of the student body so that we're able to really serve everybody and have the students have a voice.
How have you found that to be able to step up into a role where you have interaction with the college's administration?
My parents raised me to be a polite young little girl. I was a debutante, so I try to use some of the skills I learned through that to really just have a strong connection with the administrators. I do relatively well in my classes, so trying to keep myself on the good side of them as far as that goes. Like if they step into the classroom, who they're getting outside of it is who they're getting in it. I also pop in the dean's office a lot. I mean, Miss Tia, Dr. Blue, and Dr. Dunn can tell you that I'm in there at least once or twice a week. So I do like to go and visit and just say hello. So I think that's a big part of it as well.
For current students, for someone who might be considering pursuing a pharmacy degree, what advice do you have for them? And I do recall the wonderful speech that you gave at this year's White Coat ceremony, and some of those things that you said in that speech might be applicable for others who are thinking about a career.
I honestly say go for it. Like there's going to be a lot of things that people are going to say to try and scare you. It's going to be hard. You're going to be constantly studying. And while that might be true, I think the reward is a lot greater than what you're going to have to put into it. You get the benefit of helping patients in a way that physicians or nurses may not be able to. You're going to be able to make connections with so many great people in this college, as well as have so many opportunities that are presented to you. I would say lean on your peers is another big one. Your friends are your greatest resources. They're who you see the most. I actually just moved in with another pharmacy student, and that's been a great thing to have this year just because, you know, we're constantly studying together, and like we ride to class together sometimes and we just have conversations about classes. So really making sure that you're friends with your peers and just talking with them a lot.
What do you love most about being a Gamecock student pharmacist?
Oh, that's a tough one. There's many great things to like. Like I said, the college offers so many different opportunities and so many pathways, and they're very open to helping you get where you need to go. As far as just being a Gamecock, you know, I grew up bleeding garnet and black. So being a Gamecock is very exciting, but being a Gamecock pharmacist just means so much more. Like when you go on rotations and people listen to when you say you're from the University of South Carolina, they kind of light up because they know what they're getting. They know the education that we're given. It gives you a sense of pride knowing that you're one of the best of the best.
Lauren, thank you so much for sharing more about you as a student pharmacist here at the College of Pharmacy. It's been a pleasure talking with you today.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much.
And thank you to our listeners for tuning in to the USC College of Pharmacy Gamecock Pharmacy Podcast. You can stay up to date with the latest in pharmacy education and innovation by following us on iHeartMedia, Spotify, and YouTube, where you can explore our full library of episodes. Until next time, I'm Margaret Gregory reminding you that the future of pharmacy begins here at USC.